What can we actually do to start getting better customer service? Meaning, when we're at a car dealership, a restaurant, or a clothing store, and maybe the person we're dealing with isn't that great, what can we actually do to change that? Is there anything that we can do to change that? Don't worry guys, we're gonna answer all those questions right now. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Untitled Chapter here, aka the best dressed man in tech sales, don't forget it. And in today's video, I'm actually really excited. Today's video is not going to be about tech sales, but it's going to be about something all of us go through, right? All of us go to restaurants, all of us go to clothing stores, and all of us have to deal with customer service people, right? Whether it's our waiter or waitress at a restaurant, maybe we're calling the cable company, whatever it is. We could be at a shoe store trying on shoes, but there's instances where we're dealing with people and we want to get the best service possible, right? So in this video, we're gonna break down is 4 specific things that you can start doing to actually get better service. And we want to make this video because a lot of people think that when they're, stuck with this waiter or waitress who's not giving them what they want, that there's nothing they can do about it. That they just got stuck with a crappy person and they're gonna have to deal with that for however long they're staying at this place, right? But that's actually not true. So again, in this video, I'm gonna tell you some things that you can actually do to up-level that experience and help the customer service person you're dealing with actually treat you better. So with that said, let's get into it. All right guys, tip number 1, what we want to do, and this is really relevant for restaurant, bartender, those kind of scenarios, is we want to understand the person's name that we're working with. And not only do we want to ask them for it as soon as possible, preferably within the first 5 seconds of meeting them, but we want to then repeat their name as often and as much as it makes sense to throughout the time we're working with them. We want to do this for a couple reasons. Number 1, everybody loves to hear their name, right? There's no sweeter sound to somebody than their name. But number 2, it's just something that most people don't do, right? When you're at a restaurant or when you're at a place where you're just getting service from somebody, most of those interactions are very casual, they're very transactional, they're not deep or meaningful. So for you to start saying that person's name and to even make the ask at the beginning, it's going to help you stand out and it's going to communicate to the person you're working with that, wow, they're actually, they kind of aren't just surface level with me. They're saying my name, they're asking me things, and that is something that's going to stand out to them. And it's going to help you get better treatment because they're gonna see you in a more positive light because you're actually taking the time to ask them for their name, you remembered it, and you're saying it throughout the conversation. And believe it or not, guys, this is also really effective for when you're dealing with a customer service person over the phone. Again, saying their name is something that most people just wouldn't do. So again, if you can ask their name, say it as much as possible throughout the engagement, you're going to get better service. All right, guys, tip number 2, this is gonna be very relevant for restaurants, barbershops, and any situation where you have to be tipping them. But what we wanna do is tip them at the very beginning. So whether it's a barber that's cutting your hair, whether it's a restaurant, waiter or waitress you're dealing with, or a bartender, you want to tip them up front for a few reasons. All right, guys, the main reason why we want to do this is because once they see the level of tip that we are leaving for them, they are then going to give us the corresponding level of service. So if we're at a restaurant, we spend $100 on dinner, but we tip them 50%, they're going to see that and be like, wow, they tipped me 50%. They really care about me. They're treating me well. Let me treat them well. And so the law of reciprocity then starts to kick in because they've already been able to see what kind of treatment we're going to give them. So they give us a similar type of treatment or treatment that's associated with the treatment we gave them. The second reason we want to do this is because it actually makes the life of the employee much easier. For example, if I'm a waiter or a waitress and I'm serving tables, I don't know what I'm going to get tipped until the very end. So I could give it my all and give you everything, white glove service, everything's amazing, and then you tip me nothing. And I kind of feel stupid because I gave you so much service and you gave me nothing. So what we can do is actually eliminate some anxiety and uncertainty from the people serving us by tipping them up front, letting them know what they're gonna get, and then from there they can confidently give us the level of service that we deserve based on the tip. I tried this recently with my barber, and where I go to get my haircut, the haircuts are rather cheap. I think it's $30, which is very cheap compared to some cities I've been in. And it was his birthday that day, so I gave him $100, right, in total. So $70 tip. And I remember asking him, I said, hey, I'm gonna go ahead and tip you now, if that's all right at the very beginning in the first 5 minutes. And after it went through, I said, can you just make sure that you got it? Because I wanted him to see it, right? And as soon as he saw it, he goes, whoa, man, like, thank you. You didn't have to do all that. And I was like, oh, it's your birthday, happy birthday. And I noticed a very big difference in terms of the attention to detail, the amount of actual time that he spent on my hair. And there was actually another person who came for their appointment and he made them wait a little bit. because I had tipped him and he had seen what the tip was, and he wanted to give me the quality of service and the level of service that equated with that tip. So go ahead and try this out next time you guys are getting your haircut or going to a restaurant. Tip up front and see the kind of difference in service that you will get, especially if you're a good tipper. Tip number 3, we want to ask questions instead of making demands. The reason why we want to do this, guys, is because when you come off as a demanding customer, or you're making very specific requests and you're saying things like, give me that, let me talk to this person, let me do this, it kind of comes off as disagreeable. You're coming off as aggressive, and the attitude or the judgment that that person is going to have of you is like, oh no, now I have to get stuck with this customer or one of these, you know what I mean? So we want to avoid that kind of connotation as much as possible. And the way that we can do that and actually come off as more agreeable is by asking questions. Because when we ask questions, it comes from a place of curiosity and we don't know the answer. When we make demands come from a place of entitlement and certainty. It's like, give me this, I deserve this, I want that. Whereas when we ask the question of, hey, would it be possible to talk with the manager? Or would it be possible to take this from the bill? Or would it be possible, whatever it is, but use that phrase, would it be possible to XYZ? And just ask the person. And you have no idea what that's going to produce in terms of an answer, but what it will produce is showing them that you are agreeable, that you're seeking answers, and that you're asking them for the questions instead of just making blind demands. All right, guys, tip number 4, this can be applicable in a lot of different situations, but what you want to do is, especially when you're working with someone, let's say at a clothing store, and they might be, helping you pick things out, they might be taking things to the fitting room for you, whatever it is, but whenever you're speaking with that person and you have a moment of conversation, even if it's a minute, 2 minutes, 4 minutes, you want to make it about them as much as possible. The reason we want to make the conversation about them as much as possible is because, again, in these kind of customer service interactions, most customers don't care about the person serving them. They don't give them attention. They just make everything about them. So if we can change that dynamic and we can actually make the conversation about them, number 1, it's going to pleasantly surprise the hell out of that person, because most people just don't do that. And then number 2, it's going to, again, show them that, hey, we care. And as a result of that, they're going to feel a little bit of a personal connection and actually want to give us better service, because we're not just an average customer. We're someone who's actually caring a little bit, and we're going a little deeper than the average transactional exchange they have with people. And you can easily do this by asking questions like, so how long have you been working here? How'd you get into this field? Is there something else you want to do in life, right? Ask them these kinds of personal questions to uncover and get them talking about things they really care about. Once you do this, you'll be able to take the conversation in multiple directions, and who knows, at the end of the day, they might even ask for your information and want to stay in contact based on what you discussed. So there you have it, guys. I hope you enjoyed, but those were 4 specific tips that you can use to start getting better customer service. Let's go ahead and recap at this point so we don't forget what we talked about. Number 1, we talked about asking for the person's name, right? The name of somebody is the sweetest thing they can ever hear. Everybody loves to hear their name. Number 2, we talked about tipping them up front. So specifically, if you're at a restaurant, barbershop, whatever it might be, anytime you're tipping somebody, tip them at the beginning, because they're going to give you the level of service that equates to the tip that you left. Number 3, ask questions instead of making demands. The reason we want to do this, guys, is because it's going to help us come across as more agreeable and actually enhance the likelihood that they see us in a pleasant light and actually give us better service. Number 4, make the conversation about them. This is not only going to help us stand out, but this is just something that doesn't happen a lot, right? Most of their interactions with people are very surface level. So if we can keep the conversation about them, we can actually go deeper and not be so transactional, and they'll actually remember us and maybe even want to stay in contact with us after the engagement. All right, guys, there you have it. 4 specific tips that you can use to start getting better customer service in your next interaction. So with that, guys, I hope you enjoyed the content today. If it was valuable, please hit the subscribe button below. Also, if you're not doing so already, go follow me on LinkedIn. And last but not least, if you are trying to level up your sales game as a professional, or maybe you want to break into tech, or you want to figure out how you can become a more effective seller, go ahead and join us at the B2B Syndicate. See what we got cooking up there. Either way, guys, hope you enjoyed this one, and I will catch you all in the next video. Take it easy now.